I probably want to jump out of that window right now when I'm about to give you my predictions, but let's give them anyway. Premier League winners. Sim's gone for Man City.
Who else? Who else is there? What other choice do I have? Who else could possibly win the Premier League?
I feel so dirty with that team next to my name. I really do.
First of all, he puts 3 Gooners in his EPL team. What has happened to you? What has happened?
I just can't see Man City win the league this year.
Can't you? They've won it 4 in a row.
Exactly. That's why I can't see it.
Well, you probably couldn't see them winning 4.
Yeah.
If they can win 4, they can win 5.
Look, I hope and pray they do win it. I really do. But I just feel like something bad is happening this season.
Jeez, the chat is coming on. The chat is not happy. Look, Man City, I'm hoping that their business isn't done for the window. They've just sold Alvarez, so I reckon there's another potentially big signing coming in for them.
I think it could be Eze, you know.
Maybe, look, if it's Eze, well, that'll be a great signing. At the time of recording, Arsenal have only added Calafiori. Obviously, Moreno's been linked. Is Calafiori enough to bridge the gap between them and Man City? I don't know. I'm not convinced. Man City are just a machine. They're also adding new blood, Man City, into their team, and Oscar Bob, Savinho. So a bit of a fresh energy in that team as well, alongside those experienced heads. Pep just knows how to get the job done. He's been there before. When it comes to crunch time, Pep, you just know that they're just going to be a steam train, Man City. Arsenal show shades of, getting to that level, but I'm just not, like, they need, Saka to have the same season in terms of goals scored he had last season. They need big output from Havertz again. Is Havertz going to be able to step up again like he did last season? I'm just going to put my money on Man City again, in my opinion.
Let's hope you're right. But, they ran Man City really close last year. And, I can see a lot of people not very happy with me in the chat. And I can understand why. I can completely understand why. I'm not happy with myself either, to be fair. But, I just feel like something bad is going to be is coming for Man City, whether it be a point deduction, whether it be a relegation, whether it be something. I feel like something's coming for Man City, and I feel like Arsenal are going to be the next in line. You feel like Arsenal are going to finish second?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think. I think their defence. What's really going to keep them going, I think, is how frugal their defence is. I think Calafiori will obviously shore that up, and just how good they are at set pieces, and that goes a long way. Set pieces is actually so crucial because it just means in games where you're not playing that well and you're struggling to create chances, you can just always rely on set pieces, and that's what they've been doing. And
16 goals this pre-season, 14 set pieces,
and that's very important, and that's very crucial way, and it's a clever strategy because. So there will be games where you don't get the rub of the green. Maybe you'll miss a few chances. Maybe you won't get the chances from open play. But what happens in every single game, essentially, is you do get set pieces. You'll get corners in every game. You'll get free kicks in every game. And if you're really good in those situations, then it's going to stand you in good stead. And Man City are also very good at set pieces. That's also a big part of
it's not just that. I mean, they just don't concede goals and chances as well. And Calafiori added to that. I think Calafiori is going to be a massive signing for them. I think he's such a good player. I mean, we were waxing lyrical about him. We pretty much stopped as soon as he was linked to Arsenal. But before that, we were saying he's the perfect signing for us. He's a top player. He's going to be, one of the best hybrid left centre backs in European football at the moment.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's a good signing. Is it enough to bridge the gap to Man City, especially if Man City make 1 or 2 more signings down the end of the window? I'm not convinced it is.
Yeah. But right now they haven't made those signings, so we don't know.
Even without those signings, I mean, they don't necessarily need them. I mean, they've still got I still think they've got a better team than Arsenal.
Let's hope so. Let's go on to the FA Cup winners. Sim has gone for Newcastle.
Yeah, you know what? I've got a feeling about Newcastle because they're not in Europe this year. They're just like Spurs. They're desperate for this trophy drought to end. They've got a really solid team at the moment. And I think when push comes to shove at the end of the season, when the FA Cup, when there's big draws in the FA Cup, I think they've got the capability, especially under Eddie Howe, to step up and really give big teams a good game. And
you don't think Spurs do?
Huh? But Spurs are in Europe. That's my point.
I see.
The Newcastle are not. They can put all their energy into this FA Cup, right? And they could really go for it. and I think that's going to really stand them in good stead near the end of the season. And I've got a feeling if they don't get if they're not in the top 4 race, I reckon it could potentially be Eddie Howe's final season. And I think that in the weird way that could really give them extra motivation in this competition. And I think no European football is going to really benefit them. And I think they've got a really good team that on their day they can give anyone a game. And if they're like hyped up for this competition, I've just got a sneaky feeling they might take it. So I've gone for Newcastle.
Yeah, I've gone for Liverpool. Obviously, they did win the Carabao Cup last season. Where did they get in the FA Cup last season? Like semis, quarters to Man United, wasn't it?
Yeah, Man United, yeah.
In the quarters. So I feel like Arne Slot's first season, there is something about managers joining these big clubs and winning cups in their first season. You look at Ten Hag won a cup in his first season. Arteta won a cup in his first season. So I feel like with the football that Arne Slot likes to play, he's going to take time to I think it will take time for Liverpool to adjust to life under Arne Slot. By the time the FA Cup comes around, I feel like they could be, due a really big cup run. And the FA Cup is the perfect opportunity for Liverpool to really, I think have a good season under Arne Slot. Because I don't think they're winning the league. I do think they'll get top 4, but I feel like, they'll make a charge for it in the second half of the season, and that's when the FA Cup comes around. So I've gone for Liverpool to win the FA Cup. Carabao Cup, Sim has gone for Liverpool.
Yeah, because the reason being is I actually think they might burn out a bit at the end of the season, a bit similar to last season. They haven't made any signings yet this summer, albeit they have got a very good squad anyway. They don't necessarily need any new signings to be competitive, but I have a feeling that they're going to have a really strong first half of the season. I can see them really blowing a few teams away and being really fresh, and I think that's why I've got them to win the Carabao Cup, because that's going to really benefit them in the first half of the season. And I reckon second half they might burn out a bit. That's why I haven't gone them to win the FA Cup, and I've gone for a team not in Europe to win the FA Cup, which is Newcastle. So I've gone for Liverpool to have a better first half of the season, and that's why I've gone for them to win the Carabao.
So we've gone for the exact opposite. I've gone for them to have a better second half. You've gone for them to have a better first half. I have gone for Tottenham to win the Carabao Cup, and I think it's about time Spurs win a trophy. Last time it has been 2008. I don't have, too much reasoning or thinking behind it apart from just Spurs need a trophy, and the Carabao Cup is probably the most likely outcome. When you're looking at Tottenham and the way we went out the Carabao Cup last year in the second round to Fulham, I think Ange will look at that and really want to, right those wrongs a little bit. And I feel like Spurs could be coming home with a trophy this season.
Lou, I think we're all hoping you're correct.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Maybe in one aspect anyway.
Yeah, well, look, any trophy, I think all of us would take that. Well, if it's the Carabao Cup, so be it. I'll take it for 100%.
Overachievers of the season. We've both gone for our East London neighbours in West Ham. They have had very impressive business this year. I said to Sim off camera, I think it was yesterday, that I feel like West Ham could gain the most points from where they were last season. You look at the transfer business that they've done, it's incredible, really. Tadibo, Kilman at the back, Somerville, Fulkrig. They've got some serious talent in there in this transfer window, on top of the talent that they already have with Jarrod Bowen, Mohamed Kudus, Lucas Paquetá. They look like a serious outfit, and under Lopetegui as well. So I feel like they could be the overachievers.
Yeah, I'm going for we'll see in my 1 to 20, but I'm going for them to have a really good season. And I've been really impressed with their business. Their squad building is really impressive. Maybe they could do with one more potential striker, battle with Fulkrig, albeit Antonio is a good player anyway, so he could maybe give competition. But I think every signing has been really impressive. And I'm looking at our 11 now, and that 11 is really taking shape. And that 11 is definitely, quality-wise, comparable to a lot of these teams that everyone has a shoe-in for the top 6, 100%. And you add into that Lopetegui, a bit more of a modern manager, a forward-thinking manager. I think it's a super impressive summer for West Ham. And look, you could argue maybe it will take a bit of time for it all to gel, but I'm just looking at the 11, and I think as well everyone's pulling in the same direction. The whole Moyes thing, everyone was like, the whole fan base was split, Moyes in, Moyes out. That's now out of the way as well. Everyone is super excited. The whole West Ham fan base are together, and that could be a dangerous thing. So I've got a feeling they could overachieve here.
All right. And we move on to the underachievers of the season. Sim has gone for Chelsea.
Yeah, I just think looking at the whole Chelsea project at the moment, Maresca's got really little experience. I think the signings they've made, look, in terms of their actual first 11, it's not bad, but obviously they're in European football. I think their attention's going to be split. I also think a lot of their signings are very haphazard. They've just signed lots and lots of players, and they keep signing new players. It's like they're addicted to signing that dopamine rush of signing a player, I feel, for Chelsea at the moment. And I don't know if that can kind of harness a good team spirit, the way they conduct themselves in the transfer market. That's the main thing for me. Look, for me, if you look at Chelsea's team, it's a good team. But if you're looking at their team over the last few seasons, right, they've struggled really badly. And it's not because they don't have good players. It's because the whole thing is not smoothly. The whole project is not being run properly from the top, and I think that's continuing. I've got big question marks about Maresca as well. I'm not certain he's going to be the answer for Chelsea. And I'm not certain as well, if he starts to struggle, they're not going to be very quick to sack him, because unlike other managers, like a Pochettino or whatever, he doesn't really have a massive CV to fall back on. So if things start going wrong, it's very easy to...
And Poch couldn't even fall back on that CV anyway.
I know, but at least he lasted the season. But, if let's say Poch, right, he had a lot of difficulty, like first half of the season, he was like 12th at some point, and it only took at the back end of last season to have a really good run, and he got to that back end. But let's say Maresca's have the similar problems. Will he make it to the back end of the season?
I don't think he does.
That's the thing. I think I reckon they would be quicker to pull the trigger. So he has to really hit the ground running a bit, I feel, Maresca. And I've got big question marks. I reckon they could drop down the table here.
I think their biggest mistake was getting rid of Pochettino. He was finally onto a good thing there. Finally hit some form. Finally looking like they were putting a team together. And then they sacked him. Biggest mistake Chelsea could have done, because Maresca ain't lasting the season. But do you think they have a worse season than they did last year?
I've got a feeling so. Yeah, because I just don't know if they're going to be able to harness that team spirit, which I think a lot of teams have. And I'm looking at the other projects. I just have a bit more faith in a lot of the other projects at the moment than I do in this Chelsea one. I think it's a bit all over the place.
Well, I've gone for Man City to be the underachievers of the season. And seeing as I think they're going to get relegated, then it has to be the underachievers of the season. So Man City, well, if they don't win the league, it's a massive underachievement for them. So I've gone for them to be the underachievers of the season.